you would have to congratulate the Dufour team for making it a big story, because in 2020, President Mahama ran against Joshua Alabi and all of that. None of it was a big story. We all knew going to the Congress that President Mahama was going to clock more than 97%. Some people think he will repeat 97%. It's possible that he may, but at least for the narrative, before the ballots are counted, Dr. Dufour has managed to make this a two-horse race. This is the first time President Mahama has been involved in a two-horse race. I think this is the very first time he's been ever since, because in his parliamentary career, he ran really in Bole Bamboy. No, he ran in Bole Bamboy, yes, in Savannah. He ran Bole Bamboy really unopposed all the time. Once upon a time, Otiko Jaba competed with him, but he defeated her in a landslide. So this will be, perhaps, in political history, this will be the first time that in terms of the narrative, President Mahama has been in a two-horse race. Everything else he's done has been a one-horse, apart from the big presidential elections of 2012 and 2016 and 2020, some of which that he was an underdog. Like the 2020, he came in as an underdog, and he did quite well, but he didn't win. But in terms of local party elections, this is the first time that John Dramani Mahama, the former president, will be encountering what looks like a two-horse race. Maybe that is explaining the discomfort, the nerves that are sort of biting around him in his corner and getting very upset with the whole Dufour confrontation, because they had looked at this as a one-horse race. They had believed it's going to be a one-horse race. I would have been frustrated too if I'm working as a PR for a candidate that I knew was going to be a one-horse race, and suddenly something is changing and the narrative looks like it's a two-horse race. The narrative may look very different from what is in the ballot or what the ballot will produce at the end of the day. We all know the Bradley effect in America, so we understand that election narratives can be very different from the outcome. But at least, as far as the narrative is concerned, Kwabena Dufour has managed to make this a two-horse race. Now, let's see the details. So the story came up that Dr. Dufour was going to court, etc., etc. It became more worrisome to the NDC when the Electoral Commission, having been served with the, and tonight we will explain why the Electoral Commission, having been served with court documents that is pushing for an injunction, will issue the statement they did. That statement they did saying that they are restrained from performing their functions because of the notice of an injunction. We'll explain that to you. So, okay. So now the Electoral Commission issues a statement, and they say that, well, we have been served with writs, and so we are unable to participate in the elections of Saturday. Let's get the Electoral Commission statement. Do we have it? Okay. Can we get the Electoral Commission statement? It will come quickly. We are done with President Mahama and Donald Trump. All right. So that's the Electoral Commission's statement. And it's as follows. The Electoral Commission, EC of Ghana, represented by the chairperson, Mrs. Jean Mensah, and her two deputies, Mrs. Samuel Tete, Deputy Chairman Operations, and Dr. Eric Bosman Asare, Deputy Chairman Corporate Services, met with the leadership of the National Democratic Congress and representatives of the presidential aspirants of the NDC today, Wednesday, 10th May 2023. The meeting was held at the offices of the Commission. The purpose of the meeting was to communicate the Commission's decision regarding the supervision of the upcoming presidential and parliamentary primaries of the NDC slated for Saturday, 13th May 2023. The chairperson informed the meeting that in view of the injunction seeking to restrain the Commission from supervising the conduct of the primaries, the Commission had taken the decision not to go ahead with supervising the conduct of the elections until after the determination of the case by the court. All the representatives present expressed agreement with the position of the Commission. The meeting, which was attended by Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, representing the NDC, Dr. Peter Otokuno, representing Mr. John Dramani Mahama, Mr. Rojo Metil Nunu, representing Kwabena Dufour, and Mr. Mohammed Al Hassan, representing Mr. Kojo Bonsu, was cordial and successful. Very, very interesting. Johnson Asiedu Nketia has eaten humble pie. He said he would never talk to Electoral Commission. He said he would never talk to Jean Mensah, etc., etc. But it's not humble pie, it's democracy. I have to commend him for that. I shouldn't say humble pie. I have to commend Asiedu Nketia for changing his mind and returning to the Electoral Commission to do business with them. That's what we have to do. This grandstanding, I won't go to the Electoral Commission, I won't go to Peace FM, it's not important. It doesn't work. Go to the Electoral Commission. We are getting somewhere, because that is the state institution that has to deal with it. And Madam Jean Mensah has been appointed. pursuant to the constitutional provisions and the act. As electoral commissioner, you have to deal with her, whether you like her or you don't like her. We don't have to like each other, but we have to work together in a constitutional arrangement. We have an electoral commission whose rules are clear. Today, the NDC is at the Council of State seeking to change some of the appointments the president made. It makes sense. We have institutions. So you don't like something, there's a place to go. Rwanda doesn't have that. Remember, Rwanda has only Paul Kagame. He is judiciary, executive, legislature, everything. We don't want that. Okay. All right. So the meeting ended. Here are the photographs. Please, viewers, put it on. Let's identify them one by one by one by one. Okay. Yes, there it is. Let's start from the extreme left. There too many smoke. I think the one behind is Amate, who used to be the boss of LECMA. I think he's the one. He has a lot to do with the NDC Elections Committee. So I suspect he's the one. I'm not sure who is the black and white smoke next to him. Then there's a very handsome man in the jacket. And then next is Rojo Metilnunu. I'm not so sure whether they had biscuits at this event. But Rojo Metilnunu is there. A senior man, very, very senior. And then the resplendent Jean Mensa as always. Jean Mensa is standing next to Asiedu Nketia. And Asiedu Nketia is standing next to Bosman Asare. And Bosman Asare is standing next to Otokuno. Wow, this is interesting. But I like Asiedu Nketia's Chairman Mao suit. That's how we call it. Chairman Mao, the owner of China. This is how he used to dress. The communisto way of dressing. I like what Asiedu Nketia is wearing. The gray color is nice. Okay, so this was the NDC meeting the Electoral Commission. Later on in this broadcast, I'll show you why the Electoral Commission takes that position. A few more photographs for us to enjoy. Over here, Madame Jean Mensa in a conversation with Otokuno. I was looking for a photograph in which Madame Jean Mensa is in a conversation with Asiedu Nketia, but it's not coming. This is Otokuno speaking to Jean Mensa. And this is Jean Mensa speaking to Rojo Metilnunu. And I believe Al Hassan, who represented Kojo Bonsu. There's no photograph of Jean Mensa and Asiedu Nketia except this one. It doesn't matter. It's still good. It means that our political parties are working with the Electoral Commission. That's not bad. Okay, now let's see the statement the NDC has written. So because the NDC supporters were getting concerned, and rightly so, about the Electoral Commission's position that they are taking. Electoral Commission says we cannot do the election if there's an injunction on us. That's what Electoral Commission says. So NDC supporters were getting a bit worried, you see. So because they were getting worried, NDC issued a statement to calm them down. Let's look at what the statement, which was signed by Fifi Kwete. Let's see what it says. It's as follows. It's a press statement, and it was released on the 10th of May. It says, NDC confident that May 13th presidential primaries will be held as scheduled. Okay, it's as follows. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, further to a court action on the part of one of the presidential aspirants, wishes to assure presidential parliamentary aspirants as well as members, supporters and sympathizers that the party is taking all legitimate and legal steps to pave way for the presidential and parliamentary primaries on Saturday, May 13, 2023. We want to urge party members and the people of Ghana to remain calm as the party, through its legal team, works to resolve the temporary challenge. Okay, it will be recalled that Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, one of the three presidential aspirants, on Tuesday filed a suit against the party seeking to injunct the primaries. While urging calm among our rank and file, we wish to assure that the party, as at April 20th, 2023, had made available the full delegates list to all presidential candidates in line with our commitment stated in our guidelines that this primary document will be furnished to all presidential candidates. The party is therefore confident that this temporary challenge will be quickly overcome to pave way for the holding of the primaries on schedule. Okay, so the NDC says that is assuring its supporters that the primaries will occur on schedule. Now, let's explain the matter we talked about, the small legal matter, why the Electoral Commission must do that. So there's a legal principle that we have been told about, haven't we? And it's about an injunction. So injunction is, as we said before, one of the prerogative writs that people can take when they are in trouble so that the courts can hold something, keep something, wait for something. That's really what an injunction is. Stop this one and let's wait for the court. Injunction is really stop whatever you are doing. Let's wait for the court to determine the quarrel. So we are doing something. We are having a company together. We have a farm together. We have business together. We are fighting over land. And we are quarreling. It will take the court a while to find out. I say, tell the court that all of us should stop. Nobody should go onto the land until the court has determined who is the owner of the land. The fundamental philosophy behind it, the no-brainer, is that if you did something and then the injunction and then the ruling comes against you, you will not be able to reverse it. So, for instance, if two people are quarreling over land, have plots of land, and I put my building there, and then you take me to court with an injunction, and I ignore the injunction, and then the court hears the matter for 17 months. They finish and they say, I have lost. The house is not for me. Now what happens? You pull down the house, you break it. So for that reason, the court has determined that when an injunction is filed and is served on you, you should not proceed with the matter. So for this NDC event, for instance, if they ignore the injunction and proceed with the matter, the court goes on to hear Dr. Dufour's claims. 6 months down the line, the court comes and Dr. Dufour was right that the election shouldn't have occurred. What happened? So that's why the injunction is there. Let me share with you the case in which how this principle of law came to be part of our jurisprudence. And it's as follows. There are two factions of the Sempe royal family in Accra who were claiming the stool for their respective candidates. The case is entitled Republic versus Mofa, ex parte Alote. It's as follows. The GAN Traditional Council put together an ad hoc committee to hear the complaints of two factions and decide how the appointment could be made to the stool. Despite the fact that the committee had not finished its work, one faction was feverishly preparing their candidate for an outdooring. Due to this, the other faction sued for an order to restrain the other faction from outdooring their candidate. The notice was served on the faction which was preparing to outdoor the candidate, and the issue concerned whether or not the notice itself acted as a bar to prevent them from acting. Now that's the critical thing. The notice of an injunction, if Dr. Dufour files an injunction seeking to injunct the NDC Congress, and that injunction is served on any of the parties acting for or on behalf of the NDC, the law says that that notice that has been served should operate on the individual as an injunction already. It should operate as if the injunction was granted. That service of a notice of injunction should prevent you from continuing with whatever you are doing. So that's what the Electoral Commission was doing. They were just abiding by the law. That once an injunction has been served on, and they cannot participate in the election, isn't it? Okay, so let's move on with this one. The defense of the faction planning to outdoor their candidate as chief was that the injunction had not been granted yet. That's really what they said, and that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because they are saying that you are looking for an injunction against us. The injunction has not been granted. Why then should we stop to outdoor the chief? This is what the law says. The court held that so long as there was a process in court, any action that could undermine either the process in court or the outcome of the court's process must be prevented. In the words of Justice Aban, may he rest in peace, our former Chief Justice, this is what Justice Aban said. It is well established that any conduct which tends to bring the authority and administration of the court into disrespect or to interfere with any pending litigation is a contempt of court. So Justice Aban said this, and it sort of settled the matter. A good photograph of Justice Aban. This is one of his last days. I believe this is the inauguration of President John Kufuor, which was conducted by Justice Aban in 2021, in 2001, January. May he rest in peace. But he left us with this great spouse of law. He says, it is well established that any conduct which tends to bring the authority and administration of the law into disrespect or to interfere with any pending litigation is a contempt of court. So once the application is filed here, that's what it will be. Tomorrow morning, at Accra High Court, we'll be hearing the interlocutory injunction filed by Dr. Dufour. We are hearing that some processes may also be filed tomorrow or so. We are not sure about it, but we are hearing some processes may be filed tomorrow. So we'll wake up early and send reporters there at the court from 8 o'clock. That's going to be the big story. Everyone will be waiting for it from 10 o'clock. Did the injunction succeed? Did the injunction fail? Did they withdraw? Have they obeyed? Are we going to be ready for the NDC Congress coverage on Saturday? We are ready. We are ready. Metro TV is ready. All our reporters are ready. It's not too difficult to cover because it's happening all over the country. So we just get our reporters. So it's like a main election night because it's happening everywhere. Good luck to all candidates. But we come to that in a minute when we get to deal with. So this is the matter. This is the NDC matter. The Dr. Kwabena Dufour and the NDC matter. This is what it's about, and this is why the Electoral Commission put themselves in the situation that they find themselves. They will be waiting to hear what happens in the court. If the court says go ahead, they will. If the court says the injunction has succeeded, they will. Whatever happens, the Electoral Commission will obey it. Now, let's get back to the list of our people that we want to wish well ahead of the event tomorrow. Okay, so hey, this is Honorable Idrisu Harun. I'm sure that he's running on a post, isn't he? I sincerely believe so. Former minority leader is running on a post. Good luck to Harun Idrisu. This is Sam George. Very controversial, isn't it? But he's a clever man. He's a clever man. I like him. But we hope that he wins tomorrow. But he said something very interesting about his competitor. You know, he's in the center of the LGBT, which we're going to talk about tonight. He's in the center of that he's one of the sponsors of the bill. And I've seen on Facebook somebody says that his campaign manager is an LGBT person. I'm not sure what they mean. But he said something about his opponent. Here's a video. Here's what Sam Joyce said about it. We're really hoping he will win, but his campaign has now taken another turn. It's not just about Ningo Pram Pram. It's also about what he's doing in Parliament and his support for the LGBT. That's what he's alleging. This is what he says.
Saturday is a contest between light and darkness. I represent light. I represent everything that is the aspiration of the ordinary Ghanaian. And then someone who says that he's looking for a position because he's a businessman and wants to do business. Someone who has no qualms with where his support comes from, whether it is from the despicable LGBTQ community or wherever. They are in bed with all manner of people. But like I said, Saturday will be a clear testament to everybody in this country that the forces of light will prevail over the forces of darkness.
You're accusing Michael of being in bed with the LGBT community?
If he's not, he should come out openly and state it. I'm daring him 4 days to the election. If he's not receiving funding from them, he should come out and criticize and speak against the LGBTQ community. He can.
Light versus darkness. Hey, this is heavy. 5 minutes at top of there at 10 o'clock. Light versus darkness. Sam George says he's light, guys darkness, and the guys should come and say it. Oh, you want to hear it again? Okay, play it again, then we come to the rest. It's now 5 minutes at top of the hour 10.
Darkness. I represent light. I represent everything that is the aspiration of the ordinary Ghanaian. And then someone who says that he's looking for a position because he's a businessman and wants to do business. Someone who has no qualms with where his support comes from, whether it is from the despicable LGBTQ community or wherever. They are in bed with all manner of people. But like I said, Saturday will be a clear testament to everybody in this country that the forces of light will prevail over the forces of darkness.
You're accusing Michael of being in bed with the LGBT community?
If he's not, he should come out openly and state it. I'm daring him 4 days to the election. If he's not receiving funding from them, he should come out and criticize and speak against the LGBTQ community.
Okay, welcome back to the show. And that's Sam George. Who else did we talk about? Samuel Blackwell is running on a post as well. A good guy. We hope that he wins. Mutala is not our friend because he came here and he said a few things. But Harun Idrisu is supporting him, isn't it? Harun Idrisu is supporting him. So I think that he will win because Harun Idrisu is very powerful. Okay, and Suhini, Al-Hassan Suhini, we wish him the best. Very, very good luck to you, Suhini. Very, very good man. Very clever man. Suhini should win. He should always win. I hope he's running unopposed. But if he's not, please, people in Tamale, if you are watching me and you have a vote, vote for Al-Hassan Suhini, please. Okay. Oh, James Agalga. James Agalga is which constituency? Is it Busa? You should check. James Agalga, I think it's Upper East. You should check. But Agalga is a good man. Very, very good man. Agalga should win. Agalga should always win. So yes, James Agalga is one of those. Jifa Gomashi, the general's wife. So Jifa Gomashi, when I came into the studio, I was talking about Jifa Gomashi. I was looking for Angelique Kujos Blewe to play for her, but somehow we didn't have the time to put it together. Maybe sometime during the program they can find it, and then I'll play for her. Busa North, James Agalga. Good luck to you in Busa North. Please, if you're in Busa North, you are listening, vote for James Agalga. He's a good man. Jifa Gomashi, I was going to play for you Angelique Kujos Blewe to encourage you that whatever happens in K2 South, you'll be re-elected. Hopefully, you win. Now, Mubarak Mutaka is the problem now because he's strong in Asawase, but it looks like the forces have come heavy against him. I'm not so sure whether there's some dynamics has changed since he was removed as minority whip. I heard some voices from Kumasi telling me that things have become better. He's earning more sympathy votes. I know that Idrisu Haruna is going to back him big time. Hopefully he wins because he's quite experienced, I have to say. Very experienced. Parliament might need him to remain in there. Good luck to you, Mubarak Mutaka. All right, so that's about it. Our good lucks are done. We will now be shifting our attention onto the LGBT question. Maybe I take a break now, and then after the break we can talk about it. I'm looking for some Miracles Abuaji video. If I get it, I will share it with you. I'll be right back after the break.
Dummy dribbles to the right. He's got an opportunity on the edge of the penalty box. He's gone past the defense. This must surely be it. Goal! It's a goal!
With only 150 pesos, you can win up to 16.5 million Ghana cedis in the Betway Atina Ketia jackpot. A jackpot muhine. Responsibly, not for persons under the age of 18. This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Do you need a place with a stunning view and serene environment just beneath the Green Mountains with a commercial center and recreational area with an amazing park? Then look no further.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, the most affordable yet luxurious gated community located in Damfa, Accra. We have 2 and 3 bedroom houses with spacious park. Let me show you. All of our rooms come with beautiful porcelain tiles, durable fitted kitchen cabinets,
constant water supply,
electricity and water 24/7.
I'm buying this house. Stop processing my papers. Move it. If you're living in Ghana and want an affordable and luxurious house to buy, look no further than Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. Oh, and to those from the diaspora, aren't you tired of living in places that doesn't belong to you? You can also own your house and be your own landlord from Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. I have my own Bosu landlord.
Contact us now. Rehoboth Social Housing. Your housing dream becomes reality.
Every young woman in Ghana is going to be empowered enough to be the light and the heart of our society.
I am committed to ensuring that these NGOs are supporting government efforts and not the opposite.
We have developed a very effective cycle of admitting and rehabilitating young women in need.
I want to be your soldier. I don't just want to be in the program. I want to be by your side.
Get her ready.
You're saved and you're brought here to make something of yourself. Only rule is that you stay as good girls. Our investigations here focus on organizations with a seemingly clean sheet.
You will fail. You know why? Because I never lose.
Okay, welcome back, and this is Good Evening Ghana, and it's live, and we are delighted to be here. Our next story is the LGBT, but we have a video that I would like to share with you. Before then, though, let me see what text messages are coming. Cameraman, who should I take first? Okay, Fatih first.
All right, thank you, Paul. This is coming from Citizen Francis. As though we didn't give John Mahama the opportunity to rule Ghana, but he messed up even when there were no worldwide economic challenges. This alternative is empty. Coming from Tamale Mustafa, every sensible person will have problem with the NDC because they have no policy alternative, just trumpeting global economic hardship and sufferance, which is so pedestal to be done. However, the NPP always has ideas and programs to free Ghana. Coming from Sally Fuabel, is this simple and he can do it. I think he's referring to the Donald Trump issue. He can do it in less than 24 hours. Withdraw the NATO official from Ukraine and the war stops. Coming from Jerry, Dr. Bawumia would be Mahama's hands down in the North, Zongo's Ashanti region and Eastern region massively. And lastly, from Samuel Ofosuba, one thing I personally abhor of the NDC leadership is they know and have the right thing, but they fail or refuse to let their followers know that which is constitutionally required and begin to cause problem publicly. They have been elected to educate and direct their followers in being good and responsible citizens, not to misbehave as they used to. To you.
So this is coming from Samuel. He says that, good evening, Paul, to your crew and yourself as well. I would like to use this opportunity to wish my new friend, whom I admire so much, Nana Ama, who is currently in the US, a happy birthday. It is my prayer that the good Lord grants you success in all your endeavors. Enjoy your new age and offer patri. This is coming from Kwesi Safu. He says that, can a party with anomalies in its voters register deem fit to question the credibility of the EC in national elections? He who comes into equity must come with clean hands. This is coming from Farouk Tema. He says that President Trump, as usual, was in his best element in answering that mischievous war question. What is there to win if they all end up killing each other and making the world suffer over this unnecessary war? Yes, Trump is seen as non-confronting and brute character, but he is a straightforward man who says it as it is. This is coming from some... Okay, over to you, Annette.
So Alhaji Yusuf Husseini says, light will surely prevail over darkness. The LGBTQ plus is evil and barbaric, and anything indecent and all right-thinking people must vote massively for Sam George to preserve our culture, tradition, self-respect, divinity, and dignity as a nation. Gastiman says, I am not a fan of Sam George, but on this issue, I wish the delegates vote for him massively. These LGBTQ people are sickening and disgusting, and I believe people like Sam George are the ones to push them away from the society. That Tinkon says, Paul, comparing JM with DT is like comparing oranges with lemons. One is more powerful than the other. I rest my case. Farouk Mashmouch says, is a notice of injunction the same as injunction? I would like to be clear about this. Oneba Kweku says NDC members are so intolerant because if you're part of them, sorry, I can't read this. Lastly, from Bennett Dansu says, good evening, Paul. The NDC has never had any interest in intellectual debates on critical issues confronting the nation, but rather they take delight in doing propaganda politics because John Newell has said that the NDC does not believe in intellectuals. Over to you, Angelo.
Right, from Kaswa Republic, we have this message saying, Paul, statistically, from all analysis and indications, you don't need a rocket scientist to confirm that JDM will win the NDC primaries, but will lose woefully to Dr. Bawumia come 2024. And Kwame Baden asked, will JM beat Dr. Dufour or will Dufour beat JM? And Bulletin Darko says, obviously these gentlemen are going to win, referring to the candidates on our flyers. Of course, remember that we have Honorable Jifagomashi, who is a woman. Magdalene Chapman says, Mahama can only win this election, but not 2024. Joe Dakota from Esikadu Ketan says, with the poorly compiled internal register, I think the NDC must specify Madame G. Bensa in an outfit with 2 white rams and 4 bottles. Okay, moving on. Kamal Masaman says, Paul, the NDC that criticized the Electoral Commission today is today struggling to compile a simple NDC voters album with thousands of delegates in there. Greetings to Honorable Ambrose, Dairy Minister for Interior. And lastly, this is a long message from Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm. I'll read just a portion of it. It says, good evening, Paul. I can tell you without fear or favor that President Mahama is all over the place campaigning on issues affecting the Ghanaian. President Mahama is only telling Ghanaians the truth about the failure of this government and nothing else. The records of President Mahama are out there for all to see, and Ghanaians will be voting for him in 2024 based on his track records. He ends, I'll read the last portion, says, in my humble opinion, the president has conducted himself very well in his campaigning, and I will urge others to emulate him and stop the name calling. Back to you, Paul.
Okay, I think that's kind of true. I mean, in this campaign, apart from the little thing he said about people who are 80 years, President Mahama seems to have run the campaign well. We hope that he will run it, the other campaign, the bigger one. If he wins, we hope that he will run the bigger one as well. Okay, now it's time for us to move to our next topic, and good luck to everyone. Now, people are sending me a message to wish other people good luck who are not on my good luck list. They say that I should wish Nana Oye Bampo Ado good luck. That is the Nana Oye Letha, formerly Nana Oye Letha, now Nana Oye Bampo Ado. She's running against my other friend, the second lady's brother. What's his name again? Ramadan. Nana Oye Letha is running against Ramadan in Adenta. In the constituency that I have superior interest, because Kozimenu is also trying to run for the MPP. So that is the superior interest for me because of my relationship with Kozi and her family and all of that. So we are all hoping that Kozi will win the tickets. But Kozi is competing with other people on the MPP side. And on the NDC side, Adenta looks very interesting. Very, very youthful population. I think we will have to send another reporter there tomorrow on Saturday to look at Adenta in some detail. Because Oye Letha is running, and is running against... okay, I'll send some of my people here to go and observe in those places, and then on Tuesday they'll come and sit around and tell me what they found. Please, when you see them, give them fans, so don't attack them. When you see, it's the people you see in the studio reading text messages and all that. You find some of them in Adenta. Don't go and say you are the one on Paul's program and he said something about the umbrella and you were laughing, so you will see. If you see them and you think that they have said something or have said something and they were laughing and it's not true, tell them that what Paul said is not true. It's not true because of this and that and that. Don't start and you were on the TV and we was talking about John Mahama and you were laughing. No. Okay. All right. So we'll be there. We'll be in the nook and crannies. We'll be in Pram Pram, of course. That's the place to be. We'll certainly be there. That's the place to be. I'm sure that I will be there. I'll be going to St. George to eat a papasa in the morning, and then I'll be in the constituency and observe how he wins. I hope that he does. It's 10 minutes past the top of there at 10 o'clock. Okay. All right. They sent me this video. When they send me videos of myself, old videos, I go to the phone with a bit of care. You know, I have to be careful. So, and I click it and I keep one eye closed and one eye open because I know what they are going to say. When they send old videos of yourself, you know what they are saying, isn't it? But I don't mind sharing these videos with people because everybody has come from somewhere to somewhere and all of that. So this was a video they shared with me. It's being shared on social media by the Alan Kyerematen supporters. This interview was conducted. It's only about 3 minutes long. So it's not boring. I hope it's not boring. I believe it's not boring. My shows are not boring, are they? No, they're not boring. So this is not boring. It's my interview with Alan Kyerematen in 2010. It's 3 minutes long. And I was asking him about his concession to Nana Akufo-Addo at the time. And there's another video in which he talks about longevity, etc., which I'll send to you. And then you look at it. But this is the first Alan Kyerematen video. Have a look.
Your supporters feel that you have not been given your place in the history of the MPP with that singular magnanimous act of 2007 when the very hotly contested election at Legon had come to a dead end. The rules and the results required an outcome of another round of voting between you and Nana Akufo-Addo. You decided, without knowing whether you will win or lose that contest, to decline and to lift up the hand of Akufo-Addo. Your supporters are very worried that by that singular magnanimous act, the MPP has remained what it is up until this day, and you have not been given your place in the party for that. Do you also feel pain that everyone seems to have forgotten this magnanimous act of Alan?
I agree with my supporters clearly, but I don't have that pain. I don't have that pain because if you do what you have to do, you should not expect recognition. I was not motivated by the fact that I was going to be recognized. So I was not driven by that. You remember, this was probably one of the most hotly contested elections, primaries in this country. And you know that when I want to campaign, I do it very well. But if we had this field of candidates and we went to this election, and finally it was left between me and Akufo-Addo, Nana Akufo-Addo. Incidentally, I have a very good relationship with Nana Akufo-Addo. Most people don't know that, and we don't need to be showcasing to people openly that we have that good relationship. But finally, when it came to the fact that we needed to go for a second round, they asked us to bring our pictures so that they will do new ballot papers without being prompted by anybody. But this is what I call strategic intuition, and also the commitment I have to the unity of the party, because I knew what had gone on over a period of 3 years, the tension in the party, which was going to reach a climax with the second round. Let's say this. Once you get the opportunity to go for a second round election, ordinarily you must do it, because anything can happen.
It's anybody's game.
It's anybody's game at that point. I processed it. And when I asked for the microphone to make a statement, nobody knew what I was going to say.
Really?
Oh, yes.
You didn't receive a call from J. Kufuor and all that?
Remember, you have supporters all over the country who have fought for you. And you know, I was my convoy was involved in an accident. A friend of mine who had come back from the States and believes in me and what I can do for this country, was killed in the accident. My driver was killed in that accident. So you can appreciate what people have contributed to the campaign. So ordinarily, when you are making a judgment as to whether you should go for a second round on, this is a very weighty decision. But putting all the considerations together, I opted to save the party. And so when I took the microphone and I said that in order not to further deepen the divisions in the party, I would rather support my senior brother Nana Akufo-Addo for us to fight together to win power, rather than go through a second round of elections.
Perhaps the party will have to one day congratulate you for that.
Hey, that was heavy. The last thing I said, the party will one day congratulate him for it. Okay. So were you laughing at me, BOS? It's 15 minutes past about 10 o'clock. No, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for whatever you're laughing at. Maybe my coat, suit or something, my tie, my face, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. It's 2010, so please forgive me. 15 minutes past the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. Now, we are now on the LGBT matter. Now, the Attorney General wrote a response to the Parliament. Is it a response? No, he did a contribution. He wrote a memorandum to the parliamentary committee that is sitting on the LGBT. I think it's a Select Committee, Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee. So tonight we're going to, last Tuesday we didn't get the opportunity to go through it, but we have a video to show you. A young man, and you know, last Tuesday we showed you some LGBT videos. We'll load all of that on social media. Forgive me, we'll be very busy. So we just put one of the Tuesday videos on social media. All the rest are coming. So from tomorrow we are loading with everything. So you can enjoy it towards Mother's Day on Sunday. And then when the Mother's Day comes on Sunday, Newcastle are going away to Leeds. They will be beaten. Manchester United are playing Wolves. They will win. Asante Kotoko will win at home. King Faisal will be beaten. And then we can all come back on Monday, you know, at different levels. You see, by that time, the NDC event would have been done. So Tuesday is heavy. Don't. Tuesday I'm in town. We'll deliver it. I thought I wouldn't be in town on Tuesday, but I am certainly in town on Tuesday. All right. 71% of Ghanaians are Christians, and this is part of the narrative and the data that is built by the anti-LGBT people to make the point, and it's a valid point, isn't it? So 71% of Ghanaians are Christians, and they are, therefore it is believed that they abhor LGBT. But last Tuesday we got into the conversation where some people abhor LGBT, they abhor the advocacy, but they think that somebody may be born like that and you have to recognize it. Help him to correct, don't beat him up, don't kill him, because he's like somebody born with 4 fingers. All right. 19% of Ghanaians are Muslims. So both Muslim and the rest are everything else. So 71 plus 19, that's about 91, I think, something like that. 90%. 90% are either Muslim or Christians, and that religion is a strict no to LGBT. And in the biblical context for the Christians, they would normally rely on Leviticus 20, even though there are also other biblical quotations that condemns adultery, fornication, stealing, murder, and all of those things. But Leviticus 20:13 says, if a man practices homosexuality, having sex with another man as with a woman, both men have committed a detestable act. they must both be put to death, for they are guilty of a capital offense. But the LGBT people will tell you, the Bible says elsewhere, that if a man commits murder, he should die. It says that. It says if a man commits stealing, he should die. If a man commits adultery, he should die. If a man commits fornication, he should die. So why do you protect the adulterers and fornicators, some of whom are in the Senate, some of whom are in Parliament, some of whom are at the court, some of whom are in media, some of whom are at the university? Fornicators and adulterers are everywhere. They are in football, they are in boxing, they are in military, they are in police, they are in university, they are in media, they are in everywhere. You don't do anything to them. You sometimes even applaud them. You look at a man and say, hey, this man likes women, oh, hey, and you are happy about a man who likes women. You've forgotten Bible says you should do something to them. So that's what they say. Nevertheless, these words are very heavy, clear. It says, both men have committed a detestable act. Again, somebody who says Old Testament, Leviticus, and New Testament is different. So let's move on. Quran 80:84, homosexuality is haram. It says, and we had sent Lot when he said to his people, do you commit such immorality as no one has preceded you with from among the world? Indeed, you approach men with desires instead of women. Rather, you are a transgressing people, and we rain upon them a rain of stones. Then see how was the end of the criminals. Okay, both are heavy. This slide was created last week when we were talking about people born with LGBT and people who do LGBT as a matter of modernity or economics. Economics being that they sort of sell their bodies as young men for LGBT activity and make money. We identified those two groups of people. Tonight, though, we are going to tell you what the Attorney General wrote in his memo to Parliament. It's been a bit of subject of conversation on Joy FM this evening. I had on Top Story with Evans Mensah and Kojo Yankson. And it's also been a topic of conversation because Sam George, the controversial member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram, has made references to it. Before we look at that, though, let's see this video. There's a video where a young man wore a t-shirt, went to his school in Europe or America, and the t-shirt said there are only two genders. And he was questioned by the school, why does the t-shirt say, why does his t-shirt say that there are only two genders? Here it is.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Liam Morrison. I live at 519 Wareham Street. I'm in the 7th, 10th grade at Nichols Middle School. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I never thought that the shirt I wore to school on March 21st would lead me to speak with you today. On that Tuesday morning, I was taken out of gym class to sit down with two adults for what turned out to be a very uncomfortable talk. I was told that people were complaining about the words on my shirt, that my shirt was making some students feel unsafe. Yes, words on a shirt made people feel unsafe. They told me that I wasn't in trouble, but it sure felt like I was. I was told that I would need to remove my shirt before I could return to class. When I nicely told them that I didn't want to do that, they called my father. Thankfully, my dad supported my decisions and came to pick me up. What did my shirt say? 5 simple words. There are only two genders. Nothing harmful, nothing threatening, just a statement I believe to be a fact. I have been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights? I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school. Do you know why? Because others have a right to their beliefs just as I do. Not one person, staff, or student told me that they were bothered by what I was wearing. Actually, just the opposite. Several kids told me that they supported my actions and that they wanted one too. I was told that the shirt was a disruption to learning. No one got up and stormed out of class. No one burst into tears. I'm sure I would have noticed if they had. I experience disruptions to my learning every day. Kids acting out in class are a disruption, yet nothing is done. Why do the rules apply to one, yet not another? I feel like these adults were telling me that it wasn't okay for me to have an opposing view. Their arguments were weak, in my opinion. I didn't go to school that day to hurt feelings or cause trouble. I have learned a lot from this experience. I learned that a lot of other students share my view. I learned that adults don't always do the right thing or make the right decisions. I know that I have a right to wear a shirt with those 5 words. Even at 12 years old, I have my own political opinions, and I have a right to express those opinions. Even at school, this right is called the First Amendment to the Constitution. My hope in being here tonight is to bring the school committee's attention to this issue. I hope that you will speak up for the rest of us so we can express ourselves without being pulled out of class. Next time it may not only be me, there might be more students that decide to speak out. Thank you for your time and good night.
All right, I was just telling Ibrahim Zebila that if he's going to pram for us, he should be careful because they know how he looks like. All right, so you saw that video, didn't you, viewers? You saw it. Wow, that's a young 12-year-old addressing that way. Okay, now let's get to the memo. It's 26 pages, so we have to run through it as quickly as we can at 23 minutes past the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. This is a memo written to the chairman of the Committee of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs of Parliament. It's a select committee. It's written by Attorney General Godfrey Dame upon invitation from the committee chairman that the Attorney General, given his role as a principal legal advisor to the government, should impart into this conversation, and this is the way Godfrey Dame decided to do it. So it's as follows. He says, Clause 1D of the bill offends Article 21 of the Constitution, which provide for the freedom of expression and freedom of thought, conscience, and belief. In essence, a person has a right to hold personal ideologies. Well, the Clause 1D of the bill, I believe, is preventing people from holding an ideology that LGBT is correct, preventing them from holding it in their head, holding that ideology. Attorney General says that clause offends against Article 21 because it provides for the freedom of expression, freedom of thought. So freedom of thought is, I think LGBT should be legalized. I think that should not be criminalized. What I'm thinking. That's what Attorney General is telling them, that you can't criminalize what somebody is thinking. I think LGBT is wrong. Okay. He thinks LGBT may be right. Kofi Mensah thinks is that we think. Everybody think. Think freely. Freedom of thought. And you can express what you are thinking. I think they should allow LGBT. What's the problem? Why are you so invested in whether somebody does? I think they should do. I say that and I walk away. I go downstairs and I buy my Wache and Kofi Brookman and I'm eating. Then police come. Hey, are you Paul Adomoshe? I said, yes, please. He said, sign this one. Come to Osu police station. I said, why? He said, you are the one who said that you think LGBT should be allowed. Come. I said, yeah, but I was just chatting with Mikael on the staircase. He said, so what? You are thinking, come to the police station. That's what Attorney General is saying is wrong. You can't punish for thoughts, thinking. Okay, let's move on. The unconstitutionality of Clause 1 of the bill comes to the fore when the provision is examined in conjunction with Clause 6, which criminalizes the act of holding out any other sexual or gender identity that is contrary to the binary categories of male and female. Very interesting. They're asking people to consider it. They're asking the law to criminalize holding another sexual identity. That I think I'm not a woman and I'm not a man. I think I'm in between. Attorney General says people can think what they want to think about themselves. Clause 1 is in contravention of Article 17 of the Constitution on non-discrimination and infringes the right to human dignity as on the evidence of the definition in the bill itself. Wait, let me take a short commercial break. I have one more break to take, isn't it? Yes, let me take that break and then I'll come back to you and then we'll continue with this one. Let me take the break.
Dummy dribbles to the right. He's got an opportunity on the edge of the penalty box. He's gone past the defense. This must surely be it. Goal! It's a goal!
With only 150 pesos, you can win up to 16.5 million Ghana cedis in the Betway Atina Ketia Jackpot. A jackpot muhine. Bet responsibly, not for persons under the age of 18. This advert has been approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Do you need a place with a stunning view and serene environment just beneath the Green Mountains with a commercial center and recreational area with an amazing park? Then look no further.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, the most affordable yet luxurious gated community located in Damfa, Accra. We have 2 and 3 bedroom houses with spacious park. Let me show you. All of our rooms come with beautiful porcelain tiles, durable fitted kitchen cabinets,
constant water supply,
electricity and water 24/7.
I'm buying this house. Stop processing my papers. Eh? Move it, move it. If you're living in Ghana and want an affordable and luxurious house to buy, look no further than Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. Oh, and to those from the diaspora, aren't you tired of living in places that doesn't belong to you? You can also own your house and be your own landlord from Rehoboth Social Housing Limited. I have my own Bosu landlord.
Contact us now. Rehoboth Social Housing. Your housing dream becomes reality.
You point to me one single secondary school that your government has been able to build and complete in the last 6 years with over 300 billion debts that you have accumulated in the last 6 years. One secondary school. There is none to show for.
Go to Laribanga. There's an Islamic school completely built. First school for the people of Laribanga. When you go to Nalerigu, there's a freshly built secondary school for them. Abomosu SHS. Have you seen that school? The Abomosu SHS alone is 30 E-blocks put together. What they call E-block is nothing but a classroom block. It is not a secondary school. It is just one of the infrastructure that we have in a lot of the secondary schools. A lot of the E-blocks that they speak of, we have had to come and add even some of the auxiliary facilities to them to make them operational. Again, Sami Jemfi has the fixation of constantly putting out lies and falsehood and wants everybody to, let me tell you, I have just given you a list of secondary schools that have been built by this government from scratch to correct that falsehood and consistent palpable lie. For some strange reason, he's been saying this lie for 5 years. And for some reason, my party and my government has also refused to call him out. It is a lie, it is false. All the communities I have mentioned to you, when you go to those communities, you see the school.
Another one spiritually is that this sword that we hold, that the presidents hold to swear the oath of office. Pastor, spiritually, you can hold it only twice. Jerry Rawlings held it twice, 92, 96. President Kufuor held it twice, 2000, 2004. President Mills held it once, he died, he left. John Mahama, on the 9th of 24th July, 2012, you held the sword of state and you swore an oath. On the 7th of January 2013, you held the sword of state and swore an oath. You held it twice. Why do you want to hold it 3 times and be a curse upon the country? He cannot. Nana has held it twice. He can't hold it the 3rd time. Why does John Mahama think that Ghana was created for him and that he will come and mess the nation up spiritually and physically? It won't happen.
Your supporters feel that you have not been given your place in the history of the MPP with that singular magnanimous act of 2007 when the very hotly contested election at Legon had come to a dead end. The rules and the results required an outcome of another round of voting between you and Nana Akufo-Addo. You decided, without knowing whether you will win or lose that contest, to decline and to lift up the hand of Akufo-Addo. The supporters are very worried that by that singular magnanimous act, the MPP has remained what it is up until this day, and you have not been given your place in the party for that. Do you also feel pain that everyone seems to have forgotten this magnanimous act of Alan?
I agree with my support.
Back, and sorry that we had to keep you with all of those videos. All commercial breaks down. Okay, back to the Attorney General's advice. So the first one we read was that he was telling he's giving the advice and saying to the LGBT people that you cannot criminalize what somebody's thinking, so they can think it. Maybe they can't act it, but they can think it. So we can't say that you are thinking it and you said it, that you think that marijuana should be allowed, and then we go and catch you and say marijuana is criminal. So for you to think and say it should be allowed, we have to catch you. No, we don't have to. He says they can think. But let's move on to see the other things he said. He said the unconstitutionality of clause 1 of the bill. Now, he's coming to some aspects of the bill that are difficult for him to uphold. This is the bill banning LGBT. He says the unconstitutionality of clause 1 of the bill comes to the fore when the provision is examined in conjunction with clause 6 of the clause 6, which criminalizes the act of holding any other sexual gender identity. Yes, we've done this already. Okay. Clause 1 is in contravention of Article 17 of the Constitution and non-discrimination, and infringes on the right of the human dignity as, on the evidence of the definition in the bill itself, the condition of the class of persons specified as intersex is caused by a biological disorder. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So saying something is a biological disorder is it's offense against Article 17 of the Constitution on non-discrimination and infringes the right of the human dignity. Let's move on, see what he says. The bill, he says, however, seeks to categorize the offense as a second-degree felony. This is the offense of LGBT, making it inconsistent with the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act, 1960 at 30, which classifies offenses in Ghana generally and in their correlative punishment. B, it would, however, be observed that not all forms of unnatural carnal knowledge or sexual intercourse between persons of the same sex have been criminalized by the current Ghanaian law. That's very interesting, the point Attorney General is making. He says that the bill is seeking to call the offense a second-degree felony. He says that's problematic within the context of our Ghanaian law. The bill is problematic in terms of describing the offenses that will be observed out of the prohibitions of the bill as a second-degree felony, okay? But he goes on to say that it must be observed, however, that this unnatural carnal knowledge that we put in our law, which already there, unnatural carnal knowledge, that is sodomy, a man sleeping with a man, it's actually a bit limited in terms of unnatural carnal knowledge of other sexes. He goes on to explain. This is what he says. He says, this is because Section 99 of the Act on Evidence of Carnal Knowledge prescribes for evidence of carnal knowledge to be complete on proof of the least degree of penetration, unquote. So this is very interesting again. The Attorney General is saying that this carnal knowledge we are talking about, if you want to prosecute somebody for unnatural carnal knowledge in Ghana, still on the LGBT context, just a little background. So some people are saying, I've said that before, but we don't need a new LGBT law because we already have criminalized sodomy. Now, the criminalization of sodomy itself is to be explained, and that's what he's explaining here. He says that when you want to prosecute somebody for practicing sodomy, the proof of the evidence requires you to prove a certain level of penetration. I'm not so sure how that's going to happen medically, perhaps if it's rape, quote unquote, if it's forced, quote unquote, or medical people can look at the body and determine that there's been some penetration. Or these days you have a video camera and you catch them and edit the camera and put it in Snap, make it nicer, send it to the police, the evidence. I'm not sure how, but he's saying that the evidence you need is a certain degree of penetration. I think he's trying to say that you must get that. How are you going to get that? We don't know. Okay, let's move on. He says, thus, it would appear that sexual intercourse or unnatural carnal knowledge between or among persons of the female sex, for instance, is not criminalized by the current Ghanaian law. So that what they call lesbianism, or if you go to a local community, they call it lesbobo, but it's called lesbianism. If you go to Jamestown, it's called lesbobo. Lesbobo is not discussed. So it may be unnatural carnal knowledge, but it's among two females. It's not quite discussed. Okay, all right. It goes on. It says, further, the duties of the Ghanaian citizen have been clearly spelled out in Article 41 of the Constitution. The duties do not include the duty imposed by Clause 3 of this article. We have to look at what Clause 3 of the article says. I think Clause 3 is the duty for every Ghanaian to ensure that LGBT people are reported, that they are dealt with, etc., etc. He says that duty that is being imposed by Clause 3 it's not a duty that is imposed by all Ghanaians under Article 41, because Article 41 imposes a duty on all Ghanaians to be able to, as well, look after each other within the context of our Ghanaian culture, etc. And he's saying that there's no duty in 41 to say that I should be walking around looking for LGBT people and reporting them and bringing them here. The bill is asking all of us to do that. Okay. It will also be observed that Article 26 of the Constitution, which enshrines the cultural rights and practices of persons in Ghana, does not create an obligation to practice and or promote Ghanaian culture, including Ghanaian family values. This is interesting, isn't it? This is very interesting. It says that the anti-LGBT bill, the anti-LGBT bill, it says if it succeeds, it would also be observed that Article 26 of the Constitution, which enshrines the cultural rights and etc., does not include protecting that. So we may have to. I think he's giving good advice to the bill people. I heard some judge say that they have taken into consideration all of what the Attorney General said, and that has constituted an amendment to the bill. I'm not sure when we are going to see that amendment, but I'm guessing that all of these technical legal points that the Attorney General is giving them is what he may be saying, that they have taken it into account. Because he says here that that's protecting Ghanaian culture, which they are talking about, general Ghanaian values, etc. The Constitution doesn't impose an obligation on everybody to go and impose that culture, including something called Ghanaian family values, promote Ghanaian culture. So when you say in the bill, you are asking us to go and promote Ghanaian culture and promote it, it's going to be probably difficult. Let's move on. Clause 11, void marriage. To the extent that the provision purports to buttress the explicit prohibition on other forms of marriage other than a marriage between a man and a woman, the clause is desirable. Okay. So here, the Attorney General is agreeing with, so he agrees with most parts of the bill. Attorney General seems to agree with most parts of the bill. And then he raises technical legal issues that may be problematic in the journey of the bill to become law. I think basically that's what he's saying. He agrees by and large with most parts of the bill, but there are aspects of the bill that will make its journey to law a bit complicated. And those are the parts that I think he points out to them. So here, he fully supports the voidness, how do I say it? He supports the illegality of gay marriage. The Attorney General fully supports it. He fully supports it, that you can't have gay marriage in Ghana. I think that should be the headline. The Attorney General says you can't have gay marriage in Ghana. So you can do a headline and say that about the LGBT bill, Godfrey Dami says you can't have gay marriage in Ghana. That's something like that. So that's really what he said. I think this is very, very important. I've not heard that in the conversation about the bill today, though, but I've not been listening all the time. I listened a bit to Joy FM. I didn't hear this because we observed that also in England, when Queen Elizabeth was alive, she said that you cannot have gay marriage in England. But somehow LGBT advocacy is allowed in England, isn't it? But here, the Attorney General says that to the extent that the provision purports to buttress the explicit prohibition on other forms of marriage other than a marriage between a man and a woman, the clause is desirable. So clause 11 of the LGBT bill is fully supported by the Attorney General. You cannot have gay marriage. We all support that, and we sincerely believe that many Ghanaians will support that as well. Article 26(1), he says, consistent with the tenets of the constitutionalism, rule of law and democracy is liberal and only accords to a person, whether Ghanaian or not, living in Ghana, the entitlement to enjoy, practice and promote any culture, not the duty to do same. Okay, that's interesting. So they are seeking to impose a duty to promote the culture, but the Attorney General is advising them that it is not a duty. It is an entitlement for one to enjoy his, what does it say? Entitlement to enjoy, practice, and promote any culture. That's interesting, isn't it? So it is not a duty imposed on us to go and make sure everybody is practicing our culture. It is an entitlement to me, the individual, to practice my culture. So that's complicated. That's interesting. Your culture cannot, the tenets of the practice of your culture cannot have criminal elements. And what are criminal elements? Criminal elements are any forms of practice that is prohibited by the Criminal Offences Act. So once it's prohibited by the Criminal Offences Act, it cannot be called a culture. So Trokosi is prohibited by the Criminal Offences Act. You cannot then say Trokosi is your culture, so this Saturday we are on the road and we are doing Trokosi, because it is prohibited. Now, if it's not prohibited, then you are entitled to enjoy it. Given that you're entitled to think in a certain way, this is a very interesting clause, but this is one of those that the Attorney General is sharing with them. But they should consider Article 26(1) properly, see whether they have done justice to its interpretation as far as the bill is concerned. Okay, he goes on. The duty imposed on a person in whose presence an offense is committed to report is not implementable, as it will be difficult to verify whether the offense was indeed committed. The clause does not provide the form in which the report should take. Implementation of the clause may best be left to the law enforcement agencies, who can act based on compelling evidence available. Okay, so in the bill, they are giving all Ghanaians the responsibility to conduct arrest and all of that, and to report. And he's saying that it is a bit complicated, it's gray. Leave the reporting to the state agencies who have the power to do so. They can report on compelling evidence. He moves on. Paragraph A of subclause 1 of clause 6, section 104(1)A of Act 29 provides that whoever has unnatural carnal knowledge of another person of not less than 16 years of age without the consent of that person commits a first-degree felony and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment of not less than 5 years and not more than 25 years. Section 104(1)B of Act 29 also prescribes that unnatural carnal knowledge of another person with the consent of that person or of an animal is a misdemeanor. Okay. Unnatural carnal knowledge is defined by Section 102 as sexual intercourse with a person in an unnatural manner or with an animal. Thus, unnatural carnal knowledge of a person of at least 16 years with the consent of that person and unnatural carnal knowledge of an animal is already criminalized by Act 29 as a misdemeanor. This relates to the offenses being prescribed. That if the LGBT Act bill were to become law, they are prescribing certain punishments for some of the offenses. The Attorney General is drawing the attention that in the existing Criminal Offences Act, some of these things have been punished, and the degree of the punishment given is a misdemeanor. He's advising them that it will be problematic on the bill's journey to become law for something that whose cousin is described as a misdemeanor for that person to be described as a felony of sorts. I think that's the point he's making to them. All right. To this extent, subparagraph A of paragraph 1 of clause 6 can be seen to state a broader prohibition on unnatural carnal knowledge or sexual intercourse between persons of the same sex as known to the Ghana law. The provision is not unconstitutional. Okay. All right. Let's move on. Clause 4, prohibition against undermining proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. Though this clause creates an offense relating to undermining proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values, what constitutes undermine is not defined, and therefore the basis of the offense cannot be determined. Correct? Very sound, that appears to me. So the Attorney General gave all of these advice to the LGBT. I think our next port of call is to find out how the bill was and how the bill is now, to determine which aspects of the Attorney General's advice has been imputed into the bill, because some judge told media that it has. Duty to report. He says the duty imposed on a person in whose presence an offense is committed to report is not implementable. We've seen this already. Okay. Clause 20. Access to medical help or treatments by accused. Okay. Clause 20 of the bill provides for access to medical help or treatment for an accused person who recants and makes a voluntary request to access proper medical help. Clause 2, paragraph 2 of clause 20 provides that the cost of the approved medical help or treatment shall be borne by the accused person or any other person, including an approved service provider, on behalf of the person. The provision may be unenforceable as there is no indication of the consequence to follow when an accused person recants and requests medical help but is unable to pay, and the approved service provider is also unable to pay. Okay, now I can understand why this clause is there, because they know that they should not impose a financial burden on the Republic. So I think they put this clause in there to say that the person will pay or somebody will pay for him. The Attorney General says when you are writing laws, it ought not to be nebulous, it has to be clear and straightforward. Whatever law you are writing has to be solid. So that provision is not conclusive. It has to show how the payment will be made. The conclusions are as follows. The Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021 seeks to provide for human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values and proscribe activities of lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgender, and queers. The bill is a private member's bill subject to Article 108 of the Constitution. A private member's bill should not, for purpose of Article 108 of the Constitution, have any financial implications on the government. However, the bill is indicative of financial implications. Further, Chapter 5 of the Constitution guarantees the fundamental human rights and freedoms of every person. These rights are to be upheld and respected by the legislature, the executive and the judiciary, and all organs of the government and its agencies and all natural and legal persons. Aspects of the bill in its current form may violate some fundamental rights and freedoms enshrined in the Constitution, including the rights to freedom of expression, thought, and conscience, and freedom from discrimination. Very interesting. Some provisions of the bill repeat existing legislation, particularly in the Marriage Act, the Criminal Offences Act, the Criminal and Other Offences Procedures Act, and the Children's Act. Okay? Unnatural carnal knowledge of a person with or without the consent of that person, and unnatural carnal knowledge of an animal is already criminalized by Act 29. The bill seeks to state a broader prohibition on unnatural carnal knowledge or criminalization of sexual intercourse between persons of the same sex. This does not appear to be inconsistent with the Constitution. Okay, it's not inconsistent with the Constitution, correct. The restrictions on the dissemination of the certain kinds of information directed at children are not inconsistent with the Constitution. The prohibition on adoption, fosterage, and marriage between persons of the same sex placed by Clause 17 and 18 of the bill are not inconsistent with the Constitution. Finally, attention is drawn to the possible implementation challenges likely to be faced after the bill is passed. Some provisions, when implemented, will violate some fundamental human rights and freedoms, particularly the right to privacy. Thus, the criminalization by Clause 6 of the Act of holding out any other sexual gender identity that is contrary to binary categories of male and female contravenes Article 17(1) and 2 of the Constitution. The duties, Attorney General says, imposed may act as a fetter on the freedom of thought, conscience, and belief of a person in the light of Article 21 of the Constitution, which stipulates that all persons shall have the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and belief, which shall include academic freedom. So that's the Attorney General's view of the matter. I think the important part is the conclusions. We will deal with the conclusions again. But it's now 9 minutes at the top of the hour. We go to text messages and prepare to wrap up another week of Good Evening Ghana. Tell Tarek that if he's finished with the behind the scenes, he should get it ready. Maybe we'll show it to viewers if we have some time before he goes. All right, let me start with you, Fatih. What are people saying?
Right, so from Bibini Asian, brilliant reply by the AG. Issues concerning constitutionality and this doesn't involve emotions and feelings, but a clear, conscious effort hinged on the rules of our Constitution. The leaders of the advocates of the bill must fully inculcate the reply by the AG and redefine what the bill seeks to achieve. After all, the 1992 Constitution is the guideline. Great job done, Mr. Paul. Coming from Alhaji Bob Sidi, LGBTQ is Islamically haram. Christianity forbids it. Community hates LGBTQ. Ghana as a nation is annoyed of LGBTQ. God hates it with passion. The reason God destroyed the people a lot. And lastly, from Mohammed, he says, when it comes to the polygamous marriage, the Christians and elites sides with the West, ignoring our societal values, norms, and customs. But when it reaches LGBTQ, these same people run away from the West and come embracing our societal values, norms, and customs to make their points. Is it hypocrisy or we are just confused?
All right, this is coming from Barima Kwekujan Ku. He says that Alan John Kwadwo Kyerematen is the man to move Ghana forward with his great transformational plan. Alan is the next MPP surest bet to beat JM. This is coming from Farouk Tema. He says, I cannot wrap my mind around the absurdity in me saying that I feel like I am a woman and therefore I should be treated as such. God created only 2 genders and that should be the norm, simple and titia. LGBTQI is alien to us. We cannot accept this behavior, deficiency and sickness. Coming from Prince Darko, he says that, Paul, you have a knack for finding the heart of any political story and capturing its essence, making Good Evening Ghana both informative and engaging. Kudos. This is coming from Berima Kwekuja and Ku. Again, he says that you can't have gay marriage in Ghana just like LGBT advocacy. Over to you, Annette.
So here's what Felix Appiah from Political Zone says. He says, this Attorney General is just on top of issues. I'm glad Nanado appointed him. Sam George is trying to make name for himself. Doris Nikwe says, hey, the Attorney General job is not easy. You have to explain all of these things. Mahmoud Yakubu says, seriously, I suspect this Attorney General. Berima Kweku Janku says, no need for this discussion of LGBT. It is time wasting. Those championing it are selfish and greedy individuals. They are just abomination. Doris Nikwe says, we Stone Tourist Association are vehemently waiting for those who will openly announce their gay marriages in the country. Lastly, from Berima Kwekujan, he says you can't have gay marriages in Ghana. No gay marriage, simplicity. Over to you, Angelo.
Okay. Anyway, on earlier story covered, we have Citizen Francis saying, like him or hate him, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia has been one of the finest brains and doers we have had at the seat of government since 1992. Continues by saying we should just pray for long life for such personalities within our body politic. Ghana can only get better with personalities like him. Michael, watching us from Ashalaja, says, hi Paul, the state of the nation currently, a business-oriented person is urgently needed to help create more jobs and more revenue to develop the country. And we have someone reiterating a message that was sent earlier. Godsway Salam says, we, the Stone Throwers Association, are vehemently waiting for those who will announce to marry in the country. And these are the sorts of things that we're speaking against, violence against homosexuals. Back to you, Paul.
Okay, so it's 5 minutes to the top of the hour. I think they put the behind-the-scenes videos is ready now. Let's have a look at it. Then we will be wrapping up. Very tired, aren't we? Kind of tired. I'm going to sleep all day tomorrow, and then Saturday we'll be covering the NDC event. And then Sunday, watch football. And Mother's Day, Sunday. Lovely Mother's Day to all mothers. We'll not be here to wish you, but we'll put something on our Facebook page so we can all enjoy the motherhood. All right, here's behind the scenes. They filmed the one we're talking, and it's been edited. Have a look. Parts of the show. And on this note, we have to end the program. This weekend, we'll keep an eye on the court. That's where we'll keep our big eye on the courts tomorrow. We will be there to see what the court decide about the NDC's injunction situation. And then if nothing happens and the event comes on as we expect, then on Saturday, we will be keeping an eye on it. On Tuesday, we'll bring you everything that we heard and everything that we saw. It's been a pleasure bringing the program to you again, as we always do. On behalf of all the young people, thanks for watching. Watch out for our reporters in your communities on Saturday as we come to cover the NDC election. My name is Adom. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Has Christianity always been one of the religions in the world to you?
Oh, hallelujah. Praise God. Christianity is not a religion, neither is it a joining of a church and doing the Christian things like praying and giving and so on. Hallelujah. Christianity is the outworking of God's own kind of life received into the spirit of a man. Whoa! This divine life in the heart of a man makes him righteous, keeps him healthy, divinely guided in life, prosperous and victorious. It gives you the ability to enjoy intimate fellowship with the Father and have dominion on this earth. Hallelujah. This is what awaits you if you will wholeheartedly believe that Jesus is the Son of God raised from the dead and personally confess him as the Lord of your life. Glory to God.
Hallelujah. Join Dr. David Bindan on the Good Life Devotion every Monday to Friday on this channel and receive truth that will usher you into exhibiting the divine life.
Kindly note that you can enjoy the Good Life Devotion on these other platforms at their stated times. Do choose the most convenient one for you or switch to another in case of a broadcast challenge with your usual platform. By all means, don't miss the Good Life Devotion any day. Now, welcome to today's episode with Dr. David Bindan.
Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, praise the Lord. Wow, you are welcome to today's special episode of our favorite Good Life Devotion. I pray in the name of Jesus that peace and joy will flood your heart.